What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode with our back-to-back World Series champion, the Mobile Bay Bears. And it is the start of free agency. I haven't sent it ahead any. I was just giving it some time for you guys to provide your feedback from the last episode and see what you would focus on this off season and kind of where we would go from here, and see if my head was in the right direction, so to speak. And the feedback I got was pretty similar to what I was thinking. We'll go over a couple of those. First and foremost, T-Man 350 mentioned a couple of things. One, signing our young players that are in the development lab now and getting in on them early, and specifically the pitchers. That way we can lock them up early and maybe get ahead of these ridiculous arbitration numbers that are going to be tough to overcome. I think in the future we'll be able to, just because I think we're going to have a pretty good budget. I think our new owner is going to give us a pretty good boost in budget every year, especially if we continue to turn a profit that we are. But I do think it's important to try and lock them up early now, just in case. And that would allow us to take that boost in budget and go after the bigger hitters and things like that will free up a lot of space for us. And I have explored a couple of them, and I'll go through them in a second. The other point that he brought up was trading Matt Simbrat for a young prospect because of Simbrat's potential free agency that's going to happen. And he's making $22 million. I haven't even explored this yet, but I don't hate the idea, especially with the amount of pitching that we have. It won't hurt us with starting pitching, unless obviously we take a ton of injuries. Then yes, then that hurts us. But I can't manage this franchise on the fear of injuries. I can prepare for them and make sure I have depth, but at the same time, the guy that's costing me $22 million, can we potentially get a young infield prospect that would really help us, because we just got wiped out of infield prospects due to arbitration and free agency. Now, some of those we might get back. I haven't ruled that out yet. I think there is definitely money to get them back. I am going to prioritize the bullpen, but I don't hate the idea of Simbrat being traded. I'll just throw that out there. I will explore it and see what is available. I can tell you right now, let's just go ahead and see what the shop looks like. We'll just do this, and there's probably going to be a ton. There is. It's just a ton. It's going to be a lot of money in there, but we could probably find a deal that is worth looking at, similar in size as far as money. Maybe get them for a little bit longer. There's some infield prospects right here at the top, but we'll have to take a look. And then if I search at, instead of veterans or regulars, we just go prospects, a little bit less on the options. There are some in here, but definitely not as plentiful as if you just go with the regulars and the veterans. So it's something I'll have to look around at. I'm not going to do that all right now, because I'll be honest with you, I haven't explored it. It really didn't cross my mind, but I don't hate the idea. I think it's an interesting idea, to say the least. I have looked at the potential signing of these young players, and specifically our specifically Nate Price and Yiber Reynolds. Now I really like Reynolds. I think he's going to be a stud, and I love his profile, and I'm all on board with signing him. I'm a little bit hesitant with Price, just because like he really hasn't dominated, so to speak. But I like his profile. I think it's interesting. He's got good movement, good home run allowed rating. He's only got 3 pitches that are average to above average, and like he's not gonna blow anyone away. So I'm not overly excited about him, but I think he is something that, at the very least, is a good guy from the bullpen and potentially a back end of the rotation kind of guy. Um, Both of these pitchers are willing to take really cheap contracts. So I just went and did like 10 years, and he's willing to do $2.8 million a year for 10 years. So over 10 years, it'll cost me $23 million. That's absolutely insane. And then if you look at Yiber Reynolds, it was like the same the last time I checked. 10 years, same thing. $2.8 million. I think that the steal, yes, Reynolds is only in AA right now. I think it's pretty much a certainty that he splits his year between double and AAA. Yes, I'm taking the risk that this doesn't develop right here, but I think he's on track, and I think he's going to develop because of the intangibles that he has. So I really feel comfortable with that. And at $2.8 million a year, if I can't trade it away, it's not terrible. And I don't feel like there's going to be a position where I won't be able to trade it away, because it's only $2.8 million a year. So it's a really, really valuable contract. And I think it's a no-brainer to lock him up for the 10 years. That'll put him at 32. I could go even more. I've never done more than a 10-year contract. I don't even know what 12 years looks like. Same thing, $2.8 million a year. That'll give us to his age 34. It'll be the 2050 season, so I could do like 2 option years there. Lots of options I could go with here, and I think I'm definitely going to offer those 2. I'm just going to have to work out the numbers kind of behind the scenes, and then I'll let you guys know on how I want to do that and structure those. As far as any other pitchers, I don't think in here that I'm going to do. We already did Judas. We already signed him to a long-term deal. But Christobos, it's astronomical, $33 million a year. He's looking for a 10-year deal too, so it's tough at that much money. It is really tough. And then the other one was Mike Hebert. Again, minimum time at the major league level, but has not done well in 57 innings. He's got a 6.16 ERA. Still got some things that he hasn't developed, and you're wondering if he's even going to develop, especially since he's 24 years old, going on 25. He's wanting $13 million a year for 8 years, so that's not as bad. But I don't like his profile as much as DeBose. Now, I do like his durability, and I think he has the potential to be really good with these ratings up here, but it's just like, is it going to happen? I don't know. Odds are it does, but it's a tough decision. Let me know what you guys think on Hebert. At that price, I might could get him down to under 13 or maybe like around 10. I don't know if I did 10 years. This is going to be a tough one to structure and for me to feel comfortable, but I'm open to it. It's not a ton of money, like I said earlier at the beginning of the episode. We're going to have the money. I think if it goes south, then we would just have to make a quick decision to trade him. So I'll consider it. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. But I think I'm on the fence about him. I'm not against it, but I think he is risky. more risky than the other two, just because the other two's price are just ridiculous. So that's just kind of where I'm at. Potential trading Simbrat for infield prospect or infielder, and then signing the two young pitchers in the development lab. Other than that, like, I'm really hurting on the organization as far as, like, we've depleted it over time, and we are somehow ranked 7th out of 32, but the prospects in the minor leagues, just, they're not impressive like they have been, and we really got to do some development internally, which we've done for a long time, and we'll continue to do that, because we're going to continue to really put into that development budget of ours. So I think we'll continue to turn out pretty good prospects, or turn them into pretty good prospects. But right now, there's just not a lot of options to go to in AAA if there are injuries. So I think depth-wise, we are really hurting coming into the offseason here. As always, towards the end of the free agency, I'll do what I do, and I will, offer those 4A type players those contracts as those minor league contracts as needed, to just kind of fill my AAA team with guys that can come up and down, to spare the players whenever they're hurt or they're tired, or whatever it is, suspended. They can come in and play a pivotal role in just kind of maintaining the team and not hurting the team. So I'll do that at the end of the free agency, as always. Going to fast forward it a little bit and see if I can get some scouting report back on the players that we talked about in the free agency market in the last episode. So I'm going to get those back, and then we'll address those players if we want to offer them. And then I will let you guys know what I do with the young pitchers, specifically the first two that we talked about that are the cheaper ones. So I will keep you all updated on that. All right, for Reynolds, I've kind of sat down and structured it. I'm not going to change a whole lot on him. I did back off a little bit on the money. He's wanting, for a 10-year deal, he's wanting $23 million over those 10 years at $2.8 million a year. I am going to only pay him $750 next year, because he's going to be in the minor leagues for sure. And then I would anticipate in the 2040 season that he's in the majors. And I should say in 2039 he may be in the majors. I was inaccurate when I said next year, because I'm still thinking that the extension is for 2038 as well. In 2038 he will make the minor league contract, because he's already signed through that. So 2039 the major league minimum, and then 1.6 million, 1.9 million, 2.6 million, 2.8 million, and then I backed it off 1 year at just 2 million, and then I went back up to 2.7, and then each year after that I went down $100,000. And in the 10th season I gave the team a option as well. So the most he'll make in this contract for any one season is $2.8 million. I hope this isn't too good to be true, and I will submit it for you guys real time. Let's see what happens. It is not quite good enough, so he does not want to go that cheap, and I don't blame him. So I need to explore options on how, I guess, where he wants to go and how high he wants to go. So I will take another look at that, and let me go and see what Nate Price wants to do. All right, for Nate Price, very similar contract, same contract really. He's willing to, he says it suits his needs, so he's willing to consider it. He says he's going to probably sign in the next few days. So really good deal here. The most we're going to pay him is $2.8 million, and then he'll be a free agent when he's 33. So I think that's a really solid deal. And then if it turns out to be bad, it's something that we could probably trade away or just eat, if you will, the $2.8 million for however many years he has left. Hopefully, if it does turn out bad, it turns out bad towards the end of his contract, but we'll see. But I still think it's a really good deal considering he's a potential rotation guy or solid bullpen piece that we're only paying, less than $3 million a year at any one point in time. So we'll submit this offer, and then I'll have to explore more options with Reynolds. All right, well, good news for Reynolds. I redid the contract, and I just applied his long-term demand without adjusting the numbers myself, and he says it was an acceptable offer. So he's going to get back to us soon. So we're going to submit that. Again, another potential steal of a deal there. No more than $2.8 million. Key with this one, though, I did not include the team option. I didn't want to risk the contract negotiation, so I was hoping maybe without the team option and just guaranteeing him the money in that last year or two that he would just go for it. I don't know if that was the deciding factor, but either way, he accepted the proposal, and now we just wait and see what he says. And great news, Reynolds did accept the deal, so now he will be a part of the team for the next 11 years, because this year is a minor league contract. Our 2038 is a minor league contract, so he'll be with the team through 2049. And super excited about that. The most we're going to pay him is $2.8 million. I can't believe that worked out. Thank you guys for the comments and the suggestions. I was thinking about that, but I honestly didn't think it would work out like that for him. I figured I could get Price. I didn't think Reynolds would go for it, but he did. So that works out for us. And additionally, Mr. Nate Price has also signed his extension, so we now have locked up 2 more players long term. As you can see down here at the bottom, they are locked up and pretty awesome. Well, they show Nate Price's. They don't show Reynolds because he's not on the payroll yet because he's in the minor league contract, but that'll also pop up down here. So good to see those guys. Now we have him, Reynolds, Skelding, Nangare, Cawley, Fouts, Jasso, and Mason. I won't even consider Mason anymore a long-term contract. I do need to potentially look at structuring that contract, but quite a few players locked up long-term, and that would hopefully kind of be our new core of players that we keep for a while. So really good to have those guys, and hopefully Reynolds develops like we think he's going to, but only time will tell. All right, so one recent development that I've just kind of been mulling over behind the scenes, and that's Javorsky Lane Jr. As you know, he went to arbitration, and I didn't want to offer him a contract that he was wanting, and he gets into free agency, and the contract's not as much as he wanted from me, and I'm just kind of toiling around with the numbers, and I see, how much money we have, and it makes sense to offer him a contract. And I know I'm supposed to prioritize the bullpen, but there's a glaring hole in the lineup right now, and that's in the infield. And I got to fill it. And I got to fill it with players that can play defense really well and can hit respectably. And Javorsky Lane does all those things. And, oh, by the way, he steals a crap ton of bases. So I think he's had over a 3 WAR the past 3 seasons. He's only 29. It's a 3-year deal with a 1-year option, so it's really only a 2-year guaranteed deal. So we're looking at the through his age 30 season, and then the 31 is on us. So I don't think it's a bad deal. He's going to make a total of $23.3 million guaranteed, and then if we pick up the option in the last year, he'll make $34 million, almost $35 million total. So the first year is $10 million, and the second year is 12, and then the last year is 12.5. I think it's something that we just needed to do, just to put back in a player that can run, can field, and hit respectfully. Like, we know those things are certain about Jaworski Lane. He's been doing it for years with us, and he's still young enough to continue to do those things without a decline in skill. So I think it just makes sense. $10 million is not that much for a player of his caliber. That's going to give us a 2 to a 4 WAR every year. So I'm good with it. Let me know what you guys think, but I think it just had to happen. He's willing to accept are willing to consider the offer that we have given him. He may or may not accept this, but he's willing to consider it. So hopefully no one else offers him more, and then we sign him. But I'm going to submit that offer and move on. So currently we have Jaworski Lane's offer pending. We have Brendan Roar's offer pending, our third baseman, and our backup first baseman of Rigsby's offer pending. So I think we've made a great stride to get back our infield. We still need a second baseman. Not really a second baseman, but a backup utility type infielder, even though Jaworski Lane is that utility type guy. But he's good enough to start. So ideally find one more guy that doesn't have to be great. We do have a couple of infield prospects that are close and maybe ready. But Jaworski, signing him, I think could be huge for the team as far as depth goes, and I am worried about the depth of our infield, that is for sure. As far as pitching goes, in the last episode we talked about Vince Collins. I did get an updated scouting report on him. Everything was the same. The only issue is he wants to be guaranteed the closer role, and I just don't know if I can give that to him. So I'm going to let him sit on the market a little bit, and then if I can get these other contracts through, just kind of reevaluate the money and see where we're at if those other guys accept their contracts. But I just don't know if I can give him a contract because he wants to be guaranteed the closer role, and we already have Judas in our closer role. So, and I would like to keep him there. So I don't want to add him and then have all this friction and him get all upset, and then he's not performing well, and we just wasted our money. So I'm going to wait this one out and see what comes of the other contracts, and then see where we're at money-wise. One more thing before we continue on. I completely forgot to go take a look at a player that we used to have in our organization, and then we signed him to a long-term deal, and he got hurt over and over again. Got $17K, brought him up, and I know he didn't really bring him up for the fact of like, hey, go look and see how this guy's doing. We brought him up to say, hey, careful on who you sign, because of what happened to Josh Leeson, and we signed him. He was one of the first pitchers that we signed to a long-term deal, and it did not pan out. He went year after year, getting hurt in like the first spring training game of the season, and then he finally made his debut in the major leagues 3 years after he was supposed to have, and then he threw 1 inning and hurt himself, and then we just got rid of him at that point. They were willing to trade him away, or somebody was willing to take him off our hands, and that person was the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I will tell you that it was, from the looks of it, a pretty solid trade. In 2035, the year after we traded him, he did have a really good season, a 3.04 ERA with 28 saves in 46 games. So he was their closer, so it's a pretty good deal. And then in 2036, it looks like he got hurt a little bit, but he did pitch again in 49 games, had a 3.77 ERA and 17 saves. But last year in 2037, he pitched in 34 games and had a 6.7 ERA with only 6 saves and 2 holds. Still expects to be in the starting rotation. His stamina's only at 35. Like, an absolute disaster of what he could have been as a player and what he was as a pitcher when we had him. 29 years old now, almost 30, and is definitely on the backside of his career. Got paid handsomely, thanks to us. As you can see, that 2040 contract, that would have been us the whole time, but we went ahead and got rid of him, thankfully. So just wanted to provide an update on him. Whenever got 17K mentioned him, I was like, man, I haven't done an update on him in a while, and I'm kind of curious. I haven't even looked, but now we know it was definitely a good trade to get rid of him. I don't even remember who we got in return, but I just know that getting rid of him was the key, and really helped us probably win a World Series because we were able to add players and utilize that money that would have been spent on him instead of these other players during their arbitration and stuff like that. So it was a good contract to get rid of, nonetheless, to say the least. All right, good news is we did get one of our infield pieces back, and Mr. Jonathan Rigsby did sign the extension. He is going to be a free agent in 2039. Locked him up for 2 years, $3.2 million this year and $4 million next year. So good to get that piece back. Pretty much a backup first baseman slash DH guy. So good to have him back. He did a lot of good things for us last year, and I feel like it's a pretty good value pickup there, or re-signing, if you will. Still waiting to hear back from the other players, Brendan Rohr and Javorsky Lane. I mean, well, technically we heard back from Javorsky Lane, and he's getting a little bit out of the price range that I wanted. So he's come back and he's won $18.7 million a year for 3 years. A little bit steep for me, I think, and I probably will pass and let him go on. I'm still waiting to hear from Brendan Rohr. He says he favors our offer, so that could be a huge piece to get him back. That would give us first base and third base covered, and then we'd have to fill in a second and short. I do have another potential option, and that's Juan Cardenas, our old friend who has left about 3 years ago now, and did great things for us ever since we had him, and after he has left, he has done even better. So 30 years old, will be 31 by the time the season starts, but still plays solid defense, can still hit, can still run, all the things that we need him to do. Does say he's fragile, but the last 3 seasons he's played 145 plus games, so hopefully that continues. He is a much cheaper route than Javorsky Lane for a very similar profile. Doesn't play as many positions, obviously, but he's only wanting 9.4 over 2 years. And I'll be honest, I did already offer him. I offered him 2-year contract with 8.75 per year, so a little bit less than what he was wanting. He says it's not good enough, but something tells me soon it will be good enough, so I'm not going to push that and try to overpay him. I still think that price comes down a little bit, and even at the price that I offered him, that might be worth a little bit more. than what he is actually worth us. But I did engage with him to get that conversation opened, and then maybe one day after he sits on the market for a little while, he will get back to me. I think if we can get Brendan Rohr signed and then one of the other infielders like Cardenas, if we could get him, that would make us only have to really fill the one slot from our minor league system, and I think we could easily do that. And then we could potentially find that fourth or fifth infielder from the minor leagues. I have some options. Mr. Carl Mardina, I think, comes to mind as a potential utility guy. Doesn't have the greatest of bats, but can probably definitely play in the infield for a backup role. Plays as a respectable second base and shortstop. He can hit for contact, not much power. Not a bad profile, I'll be honest, and he can steal bases. But he would be my, I think, second option. I think I would go with Alejandro Aguirre first, and mainly because he's just a better overall hitting and fielding profile, more of a utility guy. So I think the players are there to definitely fill the holes that we need to fill, but I would like to ensure that we lock up Brendan Rohr, get him back on the team, and then try to get Juan Cardenas to just kind of supplement us a little bit and build a little bit more depth. Because once we use Aguirre and Medina, like there's nothing behind them. So I don't like that feeling. I definitely would like a little bit of a buffer and some players to build that depth, if you will. Anyways, it is January 1st, so we're moving along. I'm going to get this thing simmed up to International Signing Day, our International Amateur Free Agent Signing Day, and then we will take a look at those guys. All right, Hall of Fame voting results, and one player was elected into the Hall of Fame, and that is Mr. Mookie Betts. In his first year on the ballot, got 96.3% of the votes. Had a pretty solid career, I would say. Let's see. He had 2,600 hits, 591 doubles, 39 triples, 477 home runs. That's pretty solid from Mookie. 1,400 RBIs, and hit for a 283 average with 292 stolen bases. Additionally, he had a 71.3 career WAR and a 133 career WRC plus. So really solid career from Mookie as expected. Player that was left out is Nolan Arenado, only got 71.6% of the vote in his 6th year. Kenley Jansen at 69% of the vote. Garrett Cole did not make it, 60% of the vote in his 10th year, and he was dropped. So was Adam Wainwright. Interestingly enough, Shohei Ohtani in his 2nd year only got 42% of the vote. So makes sense. He only had 382 career home runs and hit a 256 average. So could very well miss the the MVP, and not surprising that the numbers just don't add up when I look at them. But yeah, that is your first, or excuse me, wow, I'm all over the place right now. Sorry guys, I haven't been feeling the best lately. Been a little under the weather, but that is your 2038 Hall of Fame class. One player, Mookie Betts. All right, another piece of good news. Brendan Rohr has re-signed with us. We locked him up for 2 years with a third-year team option, $8 million, $9 million, and the team option is $11 million. Really good to get him locked back up. Been really solid for us, and hopefully continues his ways. He's 30. He'll be 31. So hopefully we can get another 2 years out of him at least before the decline starts. Maybe we can get that third year out of him. We'll see. But good to get that piece back and start solidifying our infield again. Move him over. So now we have first baseman Fouts, second baseman Skelding, Rigsby backup for Fouts, and then Roar at third. So with Skelding at second, we really got a good potential infield, if you will. I probably have to use Aguilar for the additional player and call him up. Not a big deal. Call up Medina as well. Can be the utility guy, the backup guy. And then we can move Skelding from the DH role over to the defensive role. And then potentially use Rigsby, who was so good for us last year, as a DH and a backup first baseman. So I think that would be probably the move right now. It makes the most sense. Now, we've had Vaux in the past in the DH role, and we do like Vaux. We just don't like his defense, and that's tough, so we'll see what we want to do. Maybe there's an opportunity to trade Vaux away. I have outfielders ready to take his place, but I don't want to get rid of him too quickly, but we'll see. Maybe we run him out there against righties for the DH, and then lefties we can use Mr. Rigsby for the left-handed starters, but we'll see. All right, another piece of good news. Brendan Rohr has re-signed with us. We locked him up for 2 years with a third-year team option, $8 million, $9 million, and the team option is $11 million. Really good to get him locked back up. Been really solid for us, and hopefully continues his ways. He's 30. He'll be 31. So hopefully we can get another 2 years out of him at least before the decline starts. Maybe we can get that third year out of him. We'll see. But good to get that piece back and start solidifying our infield again. Move him over. So now we have first baseman Fouts, second baseman Skelding, Rigsby backup for Fouts, and then Roar at third. So with Skelding at second, we really got a good potential infield, if you will. I probably have to use Aguilar for the additional player and call him up. Not a big deal. Call up Medina as well. Can be the utility guy, the backup guy. And then we can move Skelding from the DH role over to the defensive role. And then potentially use Rigsby, who was so good for us last year, as a DH and a backup first baseman. So I think that would be probably the move right now. It makes the most sense. Now, we've had Vaux in the past in the DH role, and we do like Vaux. We just don't like his defense, and that's tough, so we'll see what we want to do. Maybe there's an opportunity to trade Vaux away. I have outfielders ready to take his place, but I don't want to get rid of him too quickly, but we'll see. Maybe we run him out there against righties for the DH, and then lefties we can use Mr. Rigsby for the left-handed starters, but we'll see. And one unfortunate piece of news, Juan Cardenas did sign with someone else. He signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks for a little bit more than what I offered. Unfortunate. I thought he would come down a little bit. I guess I misread that one. But yeah, I guess that option is now closed. So we'll move on. Not a big deal. Wasn't going to pursue him too hard, but I thought it would be an interesting move at a cheaper rate at least. But Arizona got him for more, and that's fine. We got other options too. All right, International Amateur Free Agent Day. We'll go through these real quick, and then I'll give you guys some time to throw in the comments what you think and see who we should sign. Of note, this year is our first year where we are not getting the full $5.7 million that a lot of the teams get. We are getting only $5.23 million. So we're on the short end of that, and we will have to plan accordingly. All right, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at the players here. I will look at the potential five-star prospect, or the five-star prospects, and that's what I'll show you. The rest of them I'll just kind of look at offline, but seem to be quite a few five-star potentials here. So let's take a look at left fielder Daniel Uvale. Love the bat, decent on the base paths, low leadership, high loyalty and intelligence, and plays average defense at first base and left field. And I mean average in every sense of the word, but definitely known for his bat, Mr. Daniel Ratchet Uvale. Of note, he is a left-handed hitter. Next is Daniel Figueroa, a relief pitcher, so definitely not someone that we're looking at here. Two-pitch pitcher, really nice two-pitch profile, if you will, but definitely not something that's going to pique our interest here this early. Next is also, Joe, guys, the wrong one. I went down. I apologize. I told you guys I've been all messed up the last couple of days. I've been a little sick. That's why this video is taking a little bit longer to get out. But I think I'm getting better. But we'll see. Next is Rogelio Skinny Sanabria. Man, some name right there. Really good bat. Love the bat. Love the power. Love the adaptability, work ethic. First baseman in every sense of the word. Not going to steal bases. Going to play an okay first base. But definitely nothing else. I don't even think no. He could potentially turn into just a DH, but I do love that bat. I don't even know what he's looking for. 2.8 to start out, so not terrible. Wish he played a little bit better defense, but I guess can't have my cake and eat it too. Next is Sergio Dopey Romero, another great bat. Unfortunately, you look over here, high financial ambition, low leadership, low loyalty, and low work ethic. You guys know me. I'm not taking that. I love it. I love this profile. Other than that, and I'm not gonna even entertain that type of personality, if you will. Next is Jorge Renucci, nicknamed the Puppet. Man, the power on this guy. Love this bat. Not bad on the base pass, decent speed. Not going to steal a ton of bases, but isn't going to be completely inept there. And plays a decent outfield. All three positions. No personality class as of yet. A little bit unknown there, but definitely probably one of my, or if not the top guy on my list thus far. He is wanting 2.6 million right now, so definitely like that. All right, next is David Navarro, another really solid bat and solid outfielder. Low intelligence, high adaptability, so not terrible there. Probably the better overall bat that I've seen here. Looking at these, he is wanting $3 million. I think I would still prefer Mr. Renucci over him, but don't hate the bat. I really don't for Navarro. All right, next is Alejandro Carreno, nickname Dinner Plate. Man, a lot of guys with some pop here. Not an average outfielder, good speed, good base stealing. Question his K rate, but man, at the pop. You do like that. He's got good adaptability and work ethic. So it's a tough one here. I'm not a huge proponent of the guy that has that K rating potential. And he's not going to hit for a high average. He's going to be pretty much a home run type guy. So I prefer the overall balanced bats. You guys know me, but I don't know. We'll see. Last but certainly not least is Mr. David Camarena, nicknamed the Sheep. Very similar profile and probably a worse profile because he has bad loyalty, intelligence, and financial ambition. So gonna hit the home runs, but probably not gonna be on the team very long because he doesn't have a good loyalty. So I think out of those guys, it's a pretty clear-cut choice to me. I'll peek at a couple of the 4-star prospects. That's a pitcher. Yeah, I mean, let me know what you guys think, but I think it's a pretty... I mean, I guess it's not clear-cut, but I definitely think, Jorge Renuccini is probably the front runner. I would say if I'm getting my way here, I think it's going to be Jorge or Mr. Rogelio the Skinny. I would probably lean Jorge just because of the fielding and the running, although you would argue that Rogelio's probably going to do a little bit better with the home runs. And it's a tough call, but I think I would lean more towards Jorge. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. That's kind of where my head is at. I didn't really see anyone else. After those guys, it drops off pretty quickly. So let me know what you think, and yeah, we'll go from there. In the next episode, we will come back and make our offers and see if we can get our guys signed quickly, and maybe there's some leftover money, and we can dive deeper into that pool. But I will end the episode and wait for your responses. So again, thank you so much for watching. Sorry this episode took a little bit longer getting out, and it's a little bit discombobulated. I'm still a little under the weather, but again, thank you guys for watching and being patient and sticking with me this far. We're going to continue these things, and hopefully in the next episode we can get the free agency done. I haven't given up on pitching. We talked about that earlier. I'm still looking at pitching. I think some of them are just way too high priced, and hopefully they come down. But still looking for pitching, and I hope in the next episode, when we get into that preseason time frame, some of those pitchers' prices are going to come down, and we can make a couple of additions in the bullpen that we're going to like. But yeah, so next episode we'll get through that, and hopefully into spring training and through that before we get the 2038 Major League Baseball season underway here for the Mobile Bay Bears, and we try to go for the three-peat. But until then, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you all in the next episode. Have a good one.